All right, here's a video kind of outlining what it takes to do a manual transmission and Vortec 4200 swap and a G-body. In my case, a 84 Cutlass. Where do I begin? I guess start with the obvious, I guess, is a placement of the engine. It wasn't terribly bad to fit in here. As you can see, I still got pretty good clearance to the electric fan and the water pump. It is a little close, but I probably could have also tucked the radiator in a little tighter to the core support. That was just a Universal, I think, Spectra brand. It's like a 24-inch wide 3-core that came with a shroud and electric fan for like $500 off of I want to say Summit. Seems to keep it plenty cool, even in like a hot Georgia summer. I've got the engine placed pretty close to the firewall, about as far back as I could go. There's probably about a 3/8 of an inch maybe to the tightest spot. I did clearance the firewall a little bit with a sledgehammer, of course. But yeah, I decided probably best to get it as far back as I could. Building the mounts, I basically used, not sure how well, you probably can't see it too well, the factory Trailblazer engine block brackets. Might be better seen from this side. Factory engine block brackets with just took the factory hydraulic Trailblazer mounts, which you see here, and then basically welded like 1/4-inch plate on a horizontal plane to the frame, then kind of just put a little triangle gusset extending down to the engine cross member, and then you can kind of slot the holes since it's just a single stud coming out of the factory Trailblazer mount. It'll give you a little bit of the right and left movement. That's worked pretty well so far. But that wasn't too bad. If you want to keep AC, it definitely gets tight. I was not able to keep the Trailblazer AC compressor. I used I had to build a custom bracket for a small Sandin style ST7 compressor, and still probably about 3/4 of an inch clearance. Like I said, the AC compressor wants to exist right where the steering gear box is, but wasn't too bad. Radiator hose setup, a little janky. See, I got a little 90 there. Then a reducer made out of exhaust tubing, and just went to the auto parts store and kind of had to play around with different hoses. Should have kept the part numbers, because if I have a failure, I'll have to go back to square one guessing. But wasn't too bad. The front upper hose, pretty cut and dried. This is trying to get a little kink in it, but it's not bad. I said cool's fine. The radiator fill point probably was okay. It looked kind of low to me, so I ended up putting a like a coolant surge tank, like at a higher point in the firewall, so you can kind of see it exists higher up. I have a higher pressure cap on the radiator itself. With the, if I'm not mistaken, I blocked off the little puke port, which I did, and just fill from there. I just teed into one of the heater hoses, and I believe, kind of as a steam port, I have coolant plumbed to my turbo, and it just exhausts into the top of that surge tank. I'm not sure if that's how you're supposed to do it, but it's been working pretty well for me so far. I've been driving it about a year probably. Put probably about a couple thousand miles on it. I am using the rather expensive, but very nice artec exhaust manifold. It's just it's a VS Racing, I think a 67, 62 cast wheel, journal bearing turbo. Spool's nice. I've not really driven many turbo swap cars, so I'm not sure how if I could decide if this was a good selection. I'm pretty happy with the performance of it though. Just a whole lot of Amazon aluminum tubing I used for the intercooler, and like here's my air intake. Welded the MAF about halfway in that straight section. Just pulling cool-ish air from behind the headlight. Not really the prettiest way to route my charge piping, but I ended up using this is a CX Racing same-sided intercooler. Not sure if you can see this, but the inlet and outlet are both on the passenger side, which is why I kind of got a narrower radiator, just so I could sneak both charge pipes beside it in this same opening. Plumbing wasn't too bad, but I just think I did 2.5 inch out of the turbo into that bottom port of the charge cooler, then back out of the top with 3 inch straight into the throttle body. Broke out the intake temp sensor from the map just recently and relocated it to several inches ahead of the throttle body right there. Doing the AEM methanol injection. And yet again, more universal Amazon exhaust piping. Built a little down pipe, not real pretty, but effective. You will notice I do not have the factory air box. It was kind of an expensive upgrade, but I got the vintage air whole HVAC box, which is pretty expensive but pretty nice. It's way smaller than the old fiberglass AC box. New blower motor and all that. It's all like pulse width modulated, like blower speed, and like I said, it gives you a lot more room towards the firewall and gets rid of all that ugly plastic that would otherwise be crowding the downpipe. So that's been pretty nice. It also has like the electric heater control valve. Let's see, any other highlights? Fuel system, just a cheap Amazon boost referenced fuel pressure regulator. I think I did like Evil Energy PTFE fuel lines from the tank to the rail. It's just an Amazon adapter to the stock fuel rail, running the stock intake manifold, factory E67. Got a bass tune, which I'm very happy with, from Jeremy at Fasterproms. I still got to get the car to him for a final tune, but for several remote tuning, just data logs he's worked on, the car runs great. I guess I could move on to the manual transmission stuff. Not sure how well you can see it, but here hiding underneath the brake booster is a Tilton universal clutch master cylinder on a bracket from the website called Sick Speed Monte Carlo. I believe it's like SICK speed. Directions were a little confusing, but otherwise works pretty well. It just has a remote reservoir, which I just have in the firewall right there. That's running a AR5 transmission with the I think Emtec flywheel and the McLeod twin disc clutch, which is probably overkill for the power I'm making, but not a bad street clutch that's supposed to hold decent power. I guess bounced back to the fuel system a little bit after the regulator. I got a, I think it's a Racetronics Grand National. It's like a twin pump setup they sell, just in a factory Grand National gas tank. So that made the fuel system pretty easy. I currently only have one of the two pumps wired up. I think is okay based on the I think I'm only on 10 psi of boost. Not even close to maxing out the, I think it was 60-pound Deca injectors in here. Yeah, I think that's about it. You can kind of, there's my the Mac valve for the boost controller. Guess we can look underneath the car now. The year one wheels, pretty happy with those. The I think it's 17x8 in the front. I did the 9.5 in the rear, which did require a little frame notch. Pardon the mess in the shop. Alright, you might get a better view of the intercooler here. And you can see I built a pretty raggedy bracket for my AC condenser, which kind of crams in right in front of the intercooler. But here's a view. I have the engine sitting about as close to the cross member as I dared. Kind of hard to see, but yeah, the goal was keep the engine as low as possible, trying to fit it all under a stock hood. You can see I've got a butchered up Colorado 5-cylinder oil pan that I welded. Hangs a little low, but so far it's not been an issue. Like I said, I've had quite a few street miles on it. Haven't busted the bottom out of it yet. Ignore my steering gearbox leaks, but just running the factory Trailblazer power steering pump. I just use like some 3/8 nickel copper fuel line tubing for my return line from the box, and then just made up some of the same stuff, the PTF Evil Energy line from the I used for fuel lines for my pressure line, leaving the pump with just some adapter fittings off Amazon to my gearbox. Here's a better view of my AC compressor mounting. I wish I could have made the factory compressor work, but that's what I came up with. Any other notables here? There's the AR5 transmission. Hasn't exploded yet. Said I got them McLeod twin disc in there. Been holding without complaint. I can't remember if it's the RST or the RXT. I want to say it's the RXT. It's been pretty good. Just a homemade C-channel transmission cross member. Got my wastegate that recirculates. Alright, yeah, well, as I was saying, Grand National tank, filler neck, fits fine. Comes with, it's just the Spectre tank off of Rock Auto, pretty cheap. Good quality, made in Canada, I believe. Just the tag hits it a little bit, but it's not bad at all. Broke a 8.5 inch 10 bolt from a 442 / Grand National, so now I've got a G-body specific 9-inch housing in here. Hopefully that will be a little more robust. Couldn't really argue for the price. I think I paid like $2,300 with full disc brake swap, aluminum center section, and I think a True Track copy with 350 gears. A little bit of work to get in there, but I guess I'm glad that's hopefully addressed for good. More Evil Energy Amazon fuel lines going to a cheap, like just a universal like Napa spin-on fuel filter, which you can actually see I've hit with the 2-post lift on accident. Yeah, it might be about it. Got a NASCAR surplus drive shaft in it, which I had to get another one when I did the 9-inch swap. The second one I got, not as happy with. It's got a little bit of kind of questionable damage, so I'm gonna have to replace that again, I think, before I take it to the track. But overall, very, very happy with the swap. Drives the car way more now with this than I ever did it when it was the carbureted V8, so bonus there. Gets about 18 miles to the gallon going down the highway. I've taken it on a couple of like hour-long road trips, and it's done fine. If you got any questions, post them down in the comments. See if I can help. Appreciate it. Say bye, Jack. Oh, almost forgot to add the trying to get it to fit under a stock hood, which I did do. Did require cutting out a little bit of hood bracing, as you can see right here, and I believe, yeah, there's a piece right there. Cut that out. I believe that was interfering with the map sensor there, which I probably could have just relocated and avoided that. This front one, I believe, was interfering with the valve cover, which, as you can see, I had to shave off where the oil fill cap used to reside, and I kind of sloped it down a little further. Relocated a fill cap there. It was a little tight getting it to fit under the hood. Like you could see, I have the engine mounted about as low as you can, with maybe still having a pinky width of clearance between the oil pan and the engine cross member, but that was a little bit of a challenge. That said, I would probably recommend using a, I believe, 06 and up engine if you do swap a G-body or something with tight hood clearance, just so you have the option of cutting and welding the valve cover to shave it for clearance. The earlier engines have the plastic valve cover, which there's probably a way to clearance those, but I think the 06 and up head flows better anyway, so why not? And you probably could put that same head on an older bottom end. Yeah, that was the last bit of relevant information I figured I probably should share. Appreciate it. And while we're at it, I guess we got to do a little sound clip. I forgot to mention I do have the most aggressive Schneider reground cams, which are still fairly mild by like LS cam standards, but sounds pretty good at cold start. My dog's about to go berserk, so try to ignore that.